ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. When believers read these verses, they understand that Allah was the main actor, in whose hand the flying creatures and stones, or stone-hard blows of chastisement preordained as per Muhammad Asad's translation, were his tools. The first verse tells us that all this is what your master did. And believers understand the lesson conveyed here, namely that God will smite the evildoers of the world and protect whatever he deems worthy of protection. But believers also know that God has power over everything. Everything happens by his will, but not necessarily with his approval. Abraha, the king who led the companions of the elephant, was born, grew up, and came to power by God's will. He erected a grand church in Yemen by God's will. He led his army to the outskirts of Mecca by God's will. So why does Allah not mention any of that, since that too is what your master did? The difference here is between the background, as in a painting, and the foreground, what the painter wants us to focus on, with the background as the frame. Most of us are obsessed with events, with the news, and tend to forget that all the crimes, atrocities, and injustices we read or hear about or see in the media are tiny wavelets in the vast ocean of what your master is doing. They are all taking place by his effective command. We see the waves on the surface and think that they are huge, but they are as nothing compared to the spiritual depths of his ocean. He wants us to focus on his ethical command, the direction we choose to take on this immense sea of events. If we decide to act in defiance of his ethical command, he will lead us to our destruction, and so he puts that outcome in the foreground as a manifestation of our choice. And if we refuse to participate in evil acts, we will still die, as all mortals must. But our souls will not be devoured by stone-hard blows of chastisement preordained. If we happen to find ourselves in an army but woke up in time to want no part of it, Allah knows what is in our hearts. Over the centuries, time and time again, Muslims have been faced with this dilemma. Do we ride with the elephants of the world, or pray for the birds of our master? Do we take pride in our country's tanks and jets and nuclear bombs? Or do we resist the threats of great earthly powers with all the missiles and drones that our feeble forces can muster? Do we buy into the claims that our country's elephants are fighting terrorism or spreading democracy? Or do we look to heaven for a victory that may come from above, or might never show up in this world, but has been saved for us in the ever after? And do we let our hopes and fears rise and fall with every new Abraha who comes to power? Or do we keep a constant faith with our master, the one who knows best what he is doing?